All right, everybody. Thank you again for another episode of Fuse 8 TV, starring me, your host, Betsy Bird. And today we have a special guest. But before we get to that, hello. So nice to see you. Yes, okay. So, hi, me. I've decided to start with something a little different this week. In the past, I've taken you to different places. We went to the Eric Carle Museum. We went to that amazing castle in Germany of children's books. We went to the Grolier exhibit. This week, I don't feel like doing that. It's boring. So I've decided to come up with a fake conspiracy theory. This is a new series I'm doing. This new series, which I'm calling Reading Too Much Into Picture Books. Aha. Why am I doing this? Okay, this is why. Historically, people like to read too much into picture books. This is just a plain fact. Some of it's legitimate. Sometimes people do have hidden things in their picture books that they kind of work in. But there are a ton of examples where it just goes off into crazyville. Examples of such. Marvin K. Mooney, Would You Please Go Now by Dr. Seuss is interpreted as a interpretation of telling Richard Nixon to get out of office. This is confused by the fact that he did rewrite it later to be Richard A.K. Nixon, Could You Please Go Now, but was not actually made for that purpose. Rainbow Fish, a terrible, terrible book, is seen as anti-communist. The Rabbit's Wedding, a metaphor for interracial marriage, like you do. And Horton Hears a Who, anti-abortion. Whee! A person's a person no matter how small. Thanks, Zeus. So, here we go. So I've decided to make up a conspiracy theory because I think that's more fun. I think it's more amusing. But the question was, what kind of conspiracy theory should I do? So, the book that we are doing is Go Away, Big Green Monster. It's a classic. We all know this one where you read it and it's wonderful, by Ed Emberley. And you're creating the monster, like Big Green Monster has big yellow eyes and a long blue nose, and a big red mouth with sharp white teeth, and two little squiggly ears. Now, pay attention, the ears are going to be important later, but I'm not going to tell you what. So this book originally came out in 1992, and this is an original copy. Yeah, they look lovely. 1992, what happened in 1992 that could have inspired this book? Okay, so we have a couple choices here. It was a leap year. I got nothing, that's nothing. That was the year that George W. Bush threw up on the Japanese Prime Minister. Green equals vomit. Go away, vomit? It didn't quite work for me. Boris Yeltsin announced that Russia would stop targeting cities in the U.S. with nuclear weapons, and George W. Bush announced the same with the U.S. They will stop targeting Russia. So the green monster is in fact nuclear annihilation. Go away, big green monster. See, here are our fears from the 1950s. Now we're saying goodbye to them. It's the 90s. The wall's gone down. It wasn't perfect. It wasn't perfect. It wasn't quite there. So had some other things. The space shuttle Atlantis took off from Cape Canaveral carrying instruments to study global warming. Big green monster, big green Earth, go away, big green monster. See, now we're going away. The Earth's going. It's not perfect. It's not perfect. There's got to be something. The LA riots, no. Okay, we're closer now. The election of Bill Clinton. All right. Is the green monster George W. Bush in some way? Go away, big green monster. Is rich cronies? Well, Clinton had rich cronies too. Cronies are not a single party thing. So, but then, and it came to me, the most brilliant interpretation of all. Who does this look like to you? Well, it looks like Kilroy, so that doesn't help at all. But it's the ears, man, it's the ears. Who had enormous ears? Enormous ears in the year of 1992. That was Ross Perot. Ross Perot did. Oh, go away, third-party system. And then the little squiggly ears. Well, they're not that little now, are they? They're quite big, and in fact, the go away, two little squiggly ears, go away, third-party system. We already have their two parties. We don't need a third. So yes, that is my conspiracy. My conspiracy theory, officially, is that Go Away, Big Green Monster was a rejection of the third-party system. I now merely need to find another picture book that came out the year of Ralph Nader. So it's easy. So moving on, because that's an intro for you. Yes. Amusing now. I would like to thank Mr. Now you are going to have to help me pronounce your last name because I with some ways. So how do you pronounce it?
It's Grabenstein like Frankenstein or grabbing a stein of beer.
If I had been smart, I would have gone to teachingauthors.net, where I assume you have pronounced your name on there.
I believe I've said that exact same thing. Because every school I go to now, the kids go, "You're like Frankenstein."
It's good, though. You align yourself with someone who hates fire.
Exactly. And I thought the big green monster could have been a Boston Red Sox conspiracy.
Oh, I like that. We're going to have to
I
work
don't
that one
know
out.
if the Red Sox were doing that year, but it could be there.
He's got a big red mouth with sharp white teeth. Yeah, you can read whatever you want to in these books. They're brilliant. So thank you so much for joining me for a Google Hangout chat like you do.
Thank you for inviting me. It's kind of cool.
Yes, and could you please portray, like, show your background to the people at home? Because
yes, this is my official children's author background here with mementos. I've got Mr. Spud from when I went to the Boise Young Writers Conference, and a librarian actually gave that to me. I was like lusting after it in a school library, and she went, "You can have mine." So I got her Spud, and I got a thing when iFunny made it to #1 on the bestseller list. A bunch of my friends made these fans, and we had a kind of fun dinner, and they all wore Groucho masks to dinner that night. And You're Only Old Ones, and I got a couple of awards up there, a couple of Agatha awards and stuff, and my typewriter from when I was a kid. My mom saved my typewriter from when I was a kid, so that's why I wrote my first stories on that typewriter back there.
Aw, my mom did not save my Commodore 64. I'm going to go yell at her now.
I wish I had a selectric cast.
I think it's far preferable to have a typewriter of the two. All right, so you've written tons of good books. You've co-written them with James Patterson. You've won Edgar Awards. Now, my very first question that I'm just going to throw right at your head here is that now you've written books that have, as you have said, been New York Times bestsellers, but the book that you have written solo that, to my mind, you are best known for, you may not feel you are best known for. So I want to question you on this. Escape from Mr. Lemoncello's Library. Would you say that as a solo effort, that is your most popular children's book, or not so much?
Yes, so far. Oh, definitely. It's been on the New York Times bestseller list for half a year now. So we're very excited. And it's on 22. Louisiana just joined the full 22 state awards list. There's 28 we're still going to look at and find out what's wrong with them. And it's been cool. Yeah, it's in fact, I was introduced at the Decatur Book Festival, even though I think I've written 32 books have been published. I was introduced as a debut author a year ago when Mr. Lemoncello's Library came out, because it's the only one anyone's ever heard of. So there you go.
Oh, man. Well, hey, if you're a debut author, there's lots of awards that only debut authors can win. So good. Work with that.
Go for that. No, it's exciting. It's been a lot of fun, and we don't know for sure, Nickelodeon might turn it into a movie, so that's kind of exciting too.
Ooh, that's very nice. Now, a personal question that has nothing to do with that book. I believe in your history, it said that you wrote for Jim Henson's Little Muppet Monsters show. Now, your website, which is a fantastic website because it is actually kid-friendly and updated to things that you almost never find on a children's author's website, so well played there. On your website, yeah, there was a picture of Fraggle Rock. So in my brain, I'm like, did you ever write for Fraggle Rock?
No, I wrote, it's one of my first writing jobs when I moved to New York. And it's funny because R.L. Stine once told me that his first paid writing job was writing the one-line captions in coloring books. So we'll all do anything. One of my first paid writing jobs was writing Dial-A-Muppet. Back in the 80s, you could call up on a 976 numbers, and I wrote scripts for the different Muppet characters to talk to you. And they thought I did such a good job, they offered me to work on this short-lived show called The Little Muppet Monsters, and they do look a little like Fraggles, because that is a picture from the Little Muppet Monsters. There were 3 monsters who lived in the basement of the Muppet House, and every Saturday put on a show that they broadcast through a machine called the Gizmo that went to the Muppets who lived upstairs. Only 3 episodes ever ran on TV because it was the first time Jim Henson ever did anything directly for a network. up to that point, he'd written shows, and he would syndicate them. So if you wanted them, you bought them. But this was his first time dealing with like network lawyers and network notes coming, and he just went crazy. He said, I can't do this. We had a machine called the Gizmo, which is how the kids broadcast the show from the basement upstairs. It had a washing machine and a broken umbrella and all these, and bicycle tires and all this imaginative stuff. And he got this memo: you cannot have a washing machine, kids will climb into it and die. You cannot have a broken umbrella, they will poke their eye out and die. And so he just said, enough with this. And so only 3 episodes ever ran, so it's like a little footnote in Muppet history. But the cool thing was, one of my school visits, I went to a school up in Albany, New York, and afterwards, the kids will come up, and one girl said, did you really know Jim Henson? I said, well, I got to meet him once. I had one meeting with him. And she said, what was he like? He was my grandfather, and I never got to meet him. So she and I sat down for like 20 minutes to just chat about what a great guy he was. So, yeah, I felt so sorry for her that she never met, what an incredible grandfather, and never to have met him.
Oh, that's a really good story.
A bittersweet story, but it was a good day.
Well played. Now I can see just over my right, your left shoulder, a cover of your next book, which is coming out in March, I believe. And this is sort of would you consider it a companion to Mr. Lemoncello's Library, or it's The Island of Dr. Libras? Is it just a completely different world?
It's kind of another sort of literary mystery in some strange way. I wanted to write it as a companion piece because hopefully Escape from Mr. Lemoncello's Library got kids all excited about reading and running around in libraries. And I've seen, because we developed a scavenger hunt for libraries, and kids are doing it all over the country. They get, like, late at night, they get to run around the adult part of the library and just have a blast. So it was all about teaching kids to turn research into a game and have fun doing it. And with this book, I wanted to go on the other side, which to me it's the closest one to my own childhood, when I first started discovering that my imagination could take me to places where I could be in control of what happened. And I think that's what's great about stories and writing, is we can make them turn out the way we want them to at the end. So that's what my hero Billy, probably the closest kid to what I was like as a 12-year-old. Like, I was still picked on by bullies and things, but I had this kind of wise guy streak where I would say something kind of funny and like, ooh, don't hit me, and try to fight back that way. But it's about a boy discovering the power of his imagination and the power of writing and the great characters that are in literature.
Right. So I believe he's on the island, and he's reading things, and as he reads things, he hears outside, strangely similar things to the things in his book. And I'm reading this, and I'm thinking to myself, This sounds oddly similar to The Maggots. Not oddly similar, but it reminds me a lot of like this old John Fowles book that I had to read in my philosophy class in college. Did you ever read this, The Maggots?
No, I don't know that one. No, I was trying to make it sort of. I think at first I was going to call it The Island of Dr. Imago, so it's rhymed with Dr. Moreau, just like this mysterious kind of place. And I did some little research, and I discovered that our brains generate more theta waves when we're being creative. And what if someone could capture those theta waves, so anything you imagine could magically come to life out on this island that was underneath a dome that also captured theta waves. So no, I have not read that. I have to read that. Yes.
Yeah, it's good. It's got no magic. It's just like, it's sort of more of a Truman Show type thing. But it's now, I looked up the different characters that are on your island. Now, they're public domain characters. So if you could take any children's, like recent children's literary character and add them to this island, which one from like a recent children's book would you like to add?
I think if I could, I would put Harry Potter out there, because every once in a while you need someone to do some magic for you. Like, give me a magic wand here. Like, wave it. I need something to happen. Erase everyone's memory so they forget this tomorrow, please. And Harry could have done that. I created this, a lot of schools, they're still playing those magic kind of card games, so I made it my own kind of card game that one of the characters brings out onto the island. Because Billy's imagination is strong enough that he can project things from the cabin all the way across the water. Other people with weaker imaginations, anything under the dome will be captured as well.
That is perfect. Okay, now my penultimate question. You've written for both adults, you've written for children. Have you completely crossed over to the realm of children, or are you also writing for adults at the same time these days?
No, Mr. Patterson keeps me kind of busy. He and I are doing like 4 projects a year, and I'm doing, I think, maybe 2 for Random House this year. So that's like 6 books. And I do get emails from adults, and I say, well, I'm kind of having a lot of fun writing for kids. And as a writer, I enjoy writing for kids more because I get to use more of my imagination. As you can see by the decorations here, my wife once said, this doesn't look like the apartment of a murder mystery author. It's kind of zany, every corner of our place. So I'm having much more fun, and there's 8 books in the CPAC series, and I get like an email a month. When's the next one? It's like, oh, might be a while, might be a while. I'm not feeling a big urge to go back, and some people think the last CPAC mystery I did might have brought the series to its conclusion, so we might be at the end there, but don't tell too many adults, they'll start crying.
Okay. Okay, and then my final question for you, what are you working on next?
Well, I'm working on a new book for Random House that we're right now calling Welcome to Wonderland, because I just had to stop. When I was a kid, we used to go to Florida every summer, and this was like back in the 60s and 70s when they had those kind of ticky-tacky tourist attractions like Wiki Waki Springs and Gatorland and all that stuff. So I thought, what if there was a motel that was kind of built during that era, and now fallen on hard times, and there's a kid, like a 12-year-old kid, who's trying to bring back his grandfather's days of glory. And as a kid, I always thought a motel was the coolest place in the world because you could get like clean. You didn't have to pick up your own stuff. Someone came in and cleaned things up, and there was paper wrapped around your cups. They were always sanitized for your protection. So I just thought a motel would be a fun world. So we're working on that. And also there is going to be a sequel to Escape from Mr. Lemoncello's Library called Mr. Lemoncello's Library Olympics. And that's coming out in January. They moved it up. It was going to be April of 2016, but I think it's going to be January of 2016.
Excellent. Well, that's wonderful. Well, thank you so much for joining me here today, letting me know about your books, letting me know about all the future books that you have coming out. Let me just let people know here. So if you have missed these books, we're talking about The Island of Dr. Liebers, and of course this was preceded by Escape from Mr. Lemoncello's Library, which are both fantastic items. I would like to thank you. I'd like to thank Random House Children's Books for bringing you here with me today. And all of you can certainly go and visit. It's hard to see because I have actually chosen the least able to. You can see like the ink slots here, but you can visit rhteacherslibrarians.com for guides, Common Core resources, all that fun stuff. And of course, this is hosted by School Library Journal. You can get School Library Journal on your iPad on the go. It is a very convenient way in which to read such articles. And thank you so much, everybody, for joining me here today and for joining my illustrious guest. And I really appreciate it. Thank you so much.
Thank you for explaining.